So the one thing we probably should also touch on before we get off is we alluded to it earlier, but we got an update on the Alex Tuch negotiations, and it's from a source that really hasn't talked about him at all. I mean, even the national media really hasn't touched on him at all. But we did get some insights from Pierre Lebrun, and, well, I'll just read the whole column. This is what he had to say on, I believe it was Friday or Thursday morning. There have been numerous conversations about what an extension might look like. And Tuch's camp, led by agent Brian Bartlett, and the Buffalo Sabres seem largely focused on a long-term deal for the 29-year-old. Both sides want to get it done. But much like the Kempe situation, what I'm hearing is that the Sabres and Tuch's camp so far aren't in the same ballpark as far as what the landscape will look like in a rising cap world. I would imagine the Tuch's camp sees a double-digit AAV as realistic in that world. And there's probably not a lot of motivation to be the first of these UFAs to sign. Pending UFAs, that is. Again, perhaps an Eichel signing or a Kempe signing might help the process with Tuch, but the Kempe and Tuch deals likely end up looking pretty similar. I think this gets done eventually, but I don't think it's imminent.
The drama.
I think walking into October 9th with Tuch unsigned is a colossal risk and honestly just a failure. Like, that's so risky, and it changes it's a huge cloud looming over the team heading into the season. Like, it won't loom large, because he's not. I don't think Alex Tuch has that superstar status where people are constantly going to be pressuring him from the Buffalo media and then also outside media. But, we joke, and I don't want to call it, it's not a funny joke, but we joke, this could be it for Tage Thompson this year if things go bad again. And maybe Rasmus Dahlin, hopefully not. But the Tuch thing, you will be forced into a crossroads if he does not sign. And, we had this conversation during the summer. What happens if this team is a handful of games out of the playoffs, 4 or 5 points at the deadline, and he's unsigned? What do you do at the trade deadline then?
Right. Do you move him? Does he become a rental piece? Or, because that's what teams are going to call on. Teams that are in the playoffs are going to call on him and be like, hey, he's unsigned. What's the plan here?
He will be the hottest commodity on the market. He is
big time.
The exact type of player that every playoff team is looking for, and especially given the fact his contract is so small this season for the last time. He's making $4.75 and could make $2 million for a playoff team if you were to trade him. Yeah, teams are going to be incredibly interested.
What are you smiling at, JP?
Nothing.
He's got a sick grin talking about this conversation.
I know.
It's not related to this. I'll say, though, I'm not too worried about this, to be honest. I think it'll get done. It's hard to, I think, blame the Sabres when there's so many players out there that are looming for extensions and it just hasn't gotten done because of the previously mentioned cap increase, coming next year. So I'm not too surprised that this isn't happening. I'm not too worried. I'm not surprised it's going to get in double digits. Probably he's going to get 10 million. It doesn't really. I'm not concerned about it right now, at least. If we start the season slow, yeah, I'll be concerned. But right now, I'm not too worried. I think everything has kind of been positive out of Tuch. Even when Kevin Adams have talked, it doesn't seem like there's any concern. So I think they just need to sit down and agree on that dollar amount, and it'll get done.
Do the Sabres want to be the ones who set the market for this new possible era of a rising cap and unsigned UFAs? Because I think the big one everyone's really waiting on right now is Connor McDavid. going into the final year of his contract.
Yeah. I mean,
I think he's going to be the one who really sets the market for whether players are going to take shorter term deals until the cap flattens out a little bit in a few years,
or I just think it's
if
he could be the first. Like if he wanted to, if he goes, I mean, this is the last time you'll ever get to see a player maybe sign for 8 years, because for the next CBA the maximum 7. But like if Connor McDavid changed his mind. And because I think it's pretty obvious if even if he re-signs in Edmonton, he's going short term. If he were to change his mind and go 8 years, he's maxing out the cap. Like I think the maximum percentage is like, I don't even know what the percentage is, but I think you like based on the percentages, a player making like 20 to $21 million is like the most you could make in this cap. If Connor McDavid goes 8 years, he will get the full percentage. But if he goes short term for $16 million, then I think there's just kind of that allure of seeing like 20 for the first time in the NHL. So, like, yeah, I think you're spot on with like waiting. Like, that's the big one. Then there's Kaprizov, who's also a winger. He just rejected $16 million per season, which is insane. And then you've got Eichel, and then you've got Kempe, and he's a defenseman, but you got Cale Makar, and then obviously you have Alex Tuch. So, yeah, like there's a lot of dominoes that need to fall here, and it's kind of just one big standoff to see who blinks.
Yep. I'm not scared of paying Alex Tuch $10 million at all. Knowing what the cap might be in 2 years, or what it's supposed to be in 2 years, supposed to be around
7?
like 113. Yeah. If I know that the cap is going to be $113.5 million in 2 years, sure. Yeah, I'll give him $10 million for 7 years.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think if it starts to get a little higher, then yeah, I'll get might be cautious, but I agree. I'm not
Doesn't worry me.
off by 10.
Well, he had a great year last year, 36 goals, 67 points. What if he has a year like 2 years ago? He had 59 points in 75 games, but only 22 goals. Like, what if Alex Tuch at the trade deadline is on pace for like a 55, 60-point season? Are you still willing to pony up $10 million for 8? Let's say, look, listen. You either sign me now or you're trading me, and I want $10 million over 8 years.
Right. When you bring up what do you think, like if the upcoming season has anything to do with what could happen and what the Sabres think about him? I think if I'm Alex Tuch, I'm like this upcoming season, it's like we're not talking about this. It's like you're getting me for the player I am now. If I'm going into the season and you're going to start judging me on what the next contract could look like over the course of this season, I'm not signing with you. I'm going to go to free agency. So I do think they need to get this done, but they got to be very careful with their negotiations, because you've seen in the past few years how impactful a player he's been for you. And yes, he's coming off of a very, very good season. I think he has more of those in him. I think they should take that at almost face value. And they shouldn't even bring up if this drags out into the season. They can't start like nickel and diming him on like, hey Alex, it's December, you only have 10 goals and 12 assists. It's like, no, we can't be doing that. You're gonna walk him to free agency. That's my opinion.
And they just kind of botched a contract situation earlier this summer. Listen, Peterka didn't want to stick around. But at the end of the day, this guy was an RFA. Like, you had all the cards and you caved. Like, you just decided to you didn't play hardball. You didn't even try. He didn't want to sign here. And you were like, okay, like, let's trade him to the next up-and-coming team. And, like, disregarding the trade, like, if you just look at that situation, like, that's a situation where the Sabres held all the cards. Now they're going into a situation they don't hold nearly as many. This guy is legitimately, like, if Alex Tuch hits the open market, what's a desperate team maybe throwing at him? I mean, remember how we were told how crazy free agency was supposed to be this year. And listen, most of the
Like
stars,
every year.
I like every year, but most of the stars were off the market. Thanks a lot, Florida. But you go to Puckpedia right now, look at all the unspent money. Like if one team gets crazy and wants to go all in for Alex Tuch, like what is the most he can milk on his next deal? Like could he get close to 11? Could he maybe get up there? Maybe on a shorter term basis, but like I don't know. Like I think it's possible. I don't think it's likely, but I think it's possible. And like that's just why I don't think the Sabres should waste any time with this negotiation. If they're serious about signing him, don't have a foot in both worlds here. Make your choice now. Don't try to wait it out and say like, okay, we'd love to sign you, but at our price. But hey, if you're not performing well in the season, well, maybe we might change our number. Just make a call now. You're probably going to regret it later if you don't. Like you can only imagine what's going through his mind right now as he looks at this season. And just in terms of, I guess maybe like you can only imagine what he thought this summer. Like this is, this team that we're looking at right now, in a sense, is their pitch to Alex Tuch.
Good luck.
You just
The
wonder.
silence is loud.
You just wonder what he's thinking. I mean, look at Connor McDavid. Alex Tuch is not Connor McDavid. Doesn't have that type of influence. But like Connor McDavid is pretty clearly looking at the Edmonton Oilers, who, by the way, have been to back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals, made it to the Eastern Conference Finals the year before that, have been in the playoffs every year since 2020. And he's going,
Western Conference.
Or Western Conference every year. And he's saying, I don't know if there's long-term success here. Because he sees the ages of, Nugent Hopkins and Matthias Ekholm, and like, it's an age thing over there as compared to here. Like, players look around. They look around when they're signing long-term deals, and if you're a player thinking about signing long-term in Buffalo, you're going to have some questions. And I don't think the Sabres did a good job of answering any of those questions this summer, so if they're playing with the dollar amount, it's risky business.
Yeah. Well said. I'm not worried right now, but if it keeps going on, it's definitely cause for concern.